good morning. For me it's good evening, because I'm about to go to bed. And yeah, just want to say a few things I didn't say yesterday. That's the problem with doing the video while driving, is that you are focused on several things at the same time and then you forget. But I would like to point out that there were two resolutions that would facilitate a ceasefire, a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. Both of them were flunked, were not approved. First was the Russian one. I think I've mentioned that before, and I mean that one really doesn't surprise me, because you have that little club against Russia. Everything that Russia puts forward, I mean they're gonna say no and they're gonna criticize it no matter. But the second one, but anyway, the reason for that was, as you remember, was because it didn't include the condemnation of Hamas. So there was a second proposition for resolution put forward by Brazil, and that one also did not pass. I mean, that was like a pretty good chance for minimizing the utter slaughter that is taking place in Gaza, the utter suffering. That was like the chance, right? And for example, while in the Russian case there were like 4 or 5 votes against, in the Brazilian proposition only 1 vote against with the power of veto. And that vote, can you like guess from who it was? Yeah, you guessed it. The good old USA. So, and what were the reasons for that? 1 vote, I mean, if you just realize the power of this, right? 1 simple vote at the meeting table, everyone with their stomachs full, breakfast and fancy hotels, and 1 vote decides the fates of thousands of children, women, innocent people at large, people in general. The reason was, it's because it didn't recognize the state for Israel to defend himself. This is the propaganda, right? This is the repetition. Remember, we talked about repetition is one of the techniques for propaganda, and this is the slogan that you have to repeat time and time again. So, the right for Israel to defend itself, right? Meanwhile, they keep claiming they are making negotiations and working on the clock and doing everything they can to allow humanitarian aid to flow to Gaza, and so far nothing, right? The last time I saw, they were readying 20 trucks, and they want to do, because they want to do it in a way that it only benefits the right people and not Hamas. And this is another part of the repetition. They keep Hamas are not the Palestinian people. Well, I'm afraid to say, but they are also the Palestinian people. And the only reason they exist, well, not the only, one of the reasons they exist is because they were helped by Israel to be created. First of all, you know that already. And the second is that in the last elections that took place in Palestine in 2006, they won in Gaza. They were elected. Now, of course I repeat, never too much to repeat. You know how YouTube is. I condemned every human right violation, every violence committed against civilian, every war crime I condemned. but you cannot separate completely. Of course, you are killing. The Israelis are killing innocent civilians and war crimes, and crimes against humanity. They are committing. They are bombing everything left and right. I mean, they bombed the UN warehouses, the UN logistical center. They bombed the UN logistical center, right? The defenders of democracy did that. And so yeah. The Americans, of course, they keep repeating this. Israel has the right to defend itself. Hamas is not the Palestinian people. But Hamas, being whatever you call it, they are, even if they are a creation of Israel, like I just said, they are most of all a product of the violence that the Palestinian people in Gaza have been subjected to. This is basic common sense. No, don't have to be a rocket scientist or anything like this to understand this. If you create an environment of stress, prolonged stress, you will have violence. If you create a society, an oppressed society, sooner or later it will erupt violently. And sometimes I keep getting surprised or by the fact that still some people put these arguments that the 1948 they proposed to create the Palestinian homeland and they refused. And these people, I really feel like punching them in the face. Sorry for that. Because, like I said before, either they are very ignorant, very stupid, very dumb, they lack some brain cells, or chromosome, whatever, they cannot understand, or they are bad people, evil, which I have hard time to believe that people can be born evil. Like, they're probably educated evil, but born evil for me is hard to believe or to understand. Or they are both. Same logical condition, right? And so yeah, this is now the United States. Today, the United States put forward a warning for its citizens abroad to have extra care, to be careful, because there are possibilities of attacks on American assets or American citizens abroad. Well, if that happens, and it already happened, and military bases in Iraq and Syria attacked, but if that happens, well, they should know where they have to go and complain to, right? I know a lot of them do. I mean, a lot of the channels that put out very strong criticism of the American foreign policy are American themselves. Of course, they're all alt media. There was, not long ago, a small island of good sense, good common sense, which was Tucker Carlson on Fox News. I was always very surprised when I saw the Tucker Carlson tonight, and because I was like asking myself, how do they allow that? It does not fit in my logic, and I was right. It didn't. They sacked him after a while. So yeah. So this is mostly the alt media. Censorship continues. This is another thing I wanted to mention yesterday. Okay, Jackson Hinkle, you know, but now Richard Medhurst, I'm sure some of you know him as well, he's been demonetized. I mean, they took his primary source of income. They like to do that. They like to, this is like I also mentioned this before. Sophisticated censorship. They're not going into your house and torture you. Torture you? Well, they might do, but you have to be on a different level. On this kind of level, they simply take your income. What do? Your freedom in this world, in this system, is as big as your income, right? Repeat after me. Your freedom in this system is as big as your income, as your available money. Some people have such freedom that they abuse it. So Israel still hasn't gone into the land operation in Gaza. I believe, this is my opinion, of course, I believe that they are calculating their possible losses, right? They are raising the place to the ground, and they are also accumulating American material. I do not think the Israel army, although they are big in number, most of them are reservists. They are not so well trained for that kind of operation. So I think they know there will be losses if they do that, right? They've tried that back in 2006 in Lebanon. It went wrong, and there were like 10 times more Israeli soldiers than Hezbollah soldiers, militants, whatever you want to call them. But I think the ground invasion of Gaza will take place. And the Americans are helping in everything they can. Everything they can. Humanitarian help is... It's the inertia for sending humanitarian help is very big to beat this inertia. But military help to Israel, right away. Talking about military help, you know, Ukraine launched what I call the final desperate big push. They're doing... This time they are trying crossing the river, the Dnieper River in the south, near Kherson area. And I think some parts of the Zaporizhia Oblast as well. And as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be another slaughter. But something needs to be pointed out. Every time they do these operations, they have these American drones, Global Hawks, flying in the Black Sea, taking notes, doing surveillance for the Ukrainians. This is a very active participation in the conflict. And I just asked myself, when will the day arrive that the Russians get fed up with this and do something more serious about it? I mean, they already took one of those drones out, those Global Hawks, in a very ingenious way, without destroying it. And last night there was something strange going on, because while they were taking this surveillance, I'm sure supporting this offensive that the Ukrainians are doing now, and of course the Russians cannot allow this, because the Russians can allow to a certain extent, but this they cannot allow. If they can allow tanks and all kinds of weapons to be given to Ukraine, but once NATO is directly involved in the operation, being the eyes of the Ukrainian army, they have to do something about it, because otherwise they will be at disadvantage, right? So there was some kind of measure. I'm going to make two distinct possibilities. What happened was, reportedly, the Global Hawk drone entered in the autopilot mode and flown back, suddenly entered in the autopilot mode and flown back to the nearest base. Either this was a malfunction, which is a possibility, or indeed was some kind of electronic warfare by the side of the Russians. Dima was speculating about it, calling it a secret weapon. I'm not sure about that. Okay, Dima, I do respect Dima, I do respect his work and his reporting, but I do know that Dima's business is that reporting now. I'm not. A lot of people earn money on YouTube. A lot of bloggers they've been talking about the subject, the wars and the geopolitics. They earn their money. I mean, it's their job. Many of them do a pretty good job, and I think Dima does a good job, but it has to be said. I mean, when you do it for a living, you have to keep doing it. Either it doesn't matter if you have important subjects to talk about or not. You have to keep feeding. You can accuse me of doing the same, except I earn nothing, not even a cent. I have all I have is expenses. I bought this microphone the other day. I still have to try it. I haven't had the time to do videos outside, and it's been windy because the problem with the shitty microphones I have is the wind. So, but it's all at my expense. It's the wage I get from my job. So yeah, having said that, and like I said, I think in one of my first solo videos, there are a lot of good work in the alt media, but still you always have to reserve a little place in your brain for doubt, right? For example, when you see those titles. The other day I saw this, what is the name? He does excellent videos, excellent analysis on current military events and also history legends, I think. And he had this thumbnail with the image of a map and a surrounded force, and the title was something about a disastrous ambush or something. So implying, for example, that the Israeli army had already gone in Gaza and had been ambushed. Implying this. And then when you read his description, he says that this could go very wrong if Israel does this. So, but immediately when you are eager to know more about the news from this place, you will click that, right? When you see that. So this kind of thing. And it's a business for them, right? So yeah, with that I think the Russians keep pushing. I think no big news. They never do the big air offensive, but they are doing the offensive. And they only incognite? I don't know. The question I ask myself for the near future is that how much will the aid to Ukraine dwindle? How much it will dwindle in face of other conflicts arising in the world? Remember that one of the warlords in Libya also gave an ultimatum to the Italian forces to leave. It's kind of interesting. Africa is rebelling against the colonial forces. Well, colonial forces that never left. Maybe the Portuguese did. I think they did. I mean, they might have one or two enterprises going around, but the French never left. And the Italians had this foothold on Libya. I don't know what they were doing there. I mean, it's nonsense. The world is boiling. And now, if you throw into the equation a possible conflict with China, I really don't think. I mean, the US claims that they are capable of, like what Joe Biden said, we were the most powerful nation we are the most powerful nation to exist in the history of the humankind, of the world, whatever. And I asked, wasn't you can say that of all the empires, right? The previous empire was also the most powerful. The previous one the same. So that's what made them empires. So it's one of those stupid ramblings from Mr. Sleepy Joe. And I'm not going to talk about the speech he gave in pajamas with Lincoln lurking in his back. That was a comic scene. I'm remembering the image of Sleepy Joe and Lincoln just taking a peek behind his back there, making sure he didn't say too much stupidity or too much nonsense. Yeah, that's the leader of the free world, right? Okay, enough rambling from my part. I owe hours to my sleep, and I have to go and pay them. So until the next time, thank you for listening to me. Feel free to comment whatever, to destroy with criticism. I have a completely free policy on my comment box. So, and please subscribe, please share my work with others, and yeah. And if you have recommendations, for example, people to interview, or I also accept that. One last question. Should I keep doing just recorded videos, this solo recorded videos, or should I also do them live? Please answer in the comments. Thank you very much.